Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? Tell your friends, guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? With another MK rant. Well, if you don't know who I am by this point, watch some of my videos. Anyway, this is Gene from NYC, and as I mentioned in my little ode to Eminem, that I'm back with another rant video. Believe it or not, I had no intention of making a rant video today. I'd actually wanted to make a somewhat positive MK video about the official, I guess, storyline trailer, the one that has the 1995 movie theme, you know, playing over it. You know the one. You know that one, right? The iconic, quintessential Mortal Kombat theme song. And I was gonna make a video about how warm and fuzzy and nostalgic it made me feel inside. But now I have to make a rant video. And I have to make a rant video because I actually just saw a video from Nerdette's newsstand where she talks about Jax's ending for the game. Apparently a channel called Lost Ambush, all capital letters, has all of the endings for the game, at least as they are currently. They could change, especially now with this leak, but apparently Jax's ending has gotten out. And for those who may be interested or not interested, just as a warning, possible spoilers are ahead. I say possible because I'm going to try to speak somewhat vaguely and in somewhat general terms. But I also have to talk about the ending to explain why I'm ranting. So, possible spoilers abound. But anyway, Jax's ending, it seems, for MK11, and I checked out this ending myself, independent of Nerdette's video, just to be clear. Apparently his ending, Jax's ending, is basically, I would define it as Wakanda Forever. Except that it's not Wakanda Forever for Africa, which would at least make some sense, although having Jax somehow now represent Africa or fight for Africa makes no sense because he's not African. Netherrealm, do I have to explain this to you? African Americans are not African. Most African Americans do not have a deep personal or cultural connection to Africa. Okay? I have no cultural connection to Africa just because I happen to be African American on the maternal side of my family. I have no descendants there to my knowledge. I have no family there. My family roots are in America. A good chunk the South. Basically, my mother's family either comes from New York or North Carolina. One or the other. That's pretty much it. No one's from Africa. At least nobody in the past few generations. Right? So why having Jax, a African American man, suddenly bring about Wakanda Forever, when again, African American culture and African culture are two entirely different things? I don't know. But it's not even like it's Wakanda Forever in Africa. Which, okay, you know, Africa finally, you know, being a first world continent and its countries doing well, I don't think anybody would object to that. But his ending isn't just that. His ending is basically about literally rewriting history so that the Atlantic slave trade that brought slaves to America, that brought Africans to America, never happens. Keep in mind, it doesn't seem to impact or mention, right, any other slave trades. So the slave trade in Africa among other African tribes apparently doesn't get retconned out of literal actual history. The, you know, slave trade in the Middle East, which, you know, and still continues in many parts of it to this day, doesn't get retconned out of history. Slave trades, you know, human trafficking, sex trafficking, none of this stuff apparently, or at least overtly, gets retconned out of history, out of human history. Only the slave trade that brought Africans to the Americas, because apparently America is the only nation that ever had slaves. But more importantly, right, this whole Wakanda Forever, Africa thing, apparently gets applied to the whole world. So the whole world becomes Wakanda Forever. Netherrealm. What the hell are you doing? I mean, Jax literally says in the ending that he cannot wait more centuries for the world to get woke when he knows he can speed it up. First of all, isn't the tale or the theme in these type of things is that if you try to speed up progress, you actually make things worse? I mean, isn't that what we learned from Star Trek? That if you try to force advanced views or advanced technology on a less advanced people, that it will actually ruin them because it's a case of too much, too fast, too soon. I mean, have we forgotten that storytelling convention about how you cannot rush progress, basically? But that aside, Netherrealm. Why this ending? Why this ending for a character like Jax? First of all, let's address the most obvious thing. You could not have Sonya do this ending. You could not have a white woman rewrite history to usher in a white world. Aside from people going, well, isn't that what already happened? Right? It would automatically be considered racist if you did this type of ending with Sonya, or I would say with pretty much any other character in the game, but especially Sonya. So here's the first thing. This is an ending you can only pull off with Jax. Number one. Number two, I don't understand why you are doing such an ending at all. When has Jax, as a character, when has Jax ever been overtly defined by his race, Netherrealm? Jax has never been overtly defined by his race. Now, I'll give you visually, he's always been the strong black man, the strong, muscular, masculine black man, right? The mustache, very muscular, the steel arms, flexing, all of his, well, not all of, but most of his moves, being about, ground and pound and smashing things. So I'll give you that. Visually, his it's always been strong black man. Fine with that. But I'm not talking about his visuals only. I'm talking about Jax as a character. When in any version of Mortal Kombat has Jax ever been overtly defined by his race? When has his character ever been overtly concerned about the plight of Africans or of African Americans? That has never been his character, Netherrealm. Jax has always been a soldier. He's always been Sonya's supervisor, her boss. How's that for woke? Right? A black man having authority over a white woman. Did y'all forget this? But anyway, he's always been this very by the book cop type character, right? He's sort of supposed to balance out Sonya, in the areas where she can be hot-headed. For example, with Kano, right? He wants to see Kano brought to justice as much as Sonya does, but he doesn't necessarily have the same personal investment because, to my knowledge, he didn't lose anybody to Kano. Sonya lost. It depends. The lore used to say her brother, then it was just her partner. I forget. But Sonya lost someone very close and personal to her, to Kano. Kano murdered someone she cared about. That's part of the reason why she wants to either bring him to justice or kill him so bad. He made the feud personal by killing someone she cared about. Jax does not have that type of connection to him. So he's able to remain much more level-headed, where Sonya will naturally go off the rails. For example, with Kano. Jax has never, he's always been he's military, strong, again, by the book cop type character. He's never been overtly defined by his race. Never. Not even in the reboot up until now has he ever been overtly defined by his race. The most important thing that I want to focus on is that none of the Earthrealm characters, especially none of the good guy Earthrealm characters, necessarily fight for their culture or their people, right? Take Liu, for example, right? When Liu wins Mortal Kombat, he wins Mortal Kombat for Earthrealm because he fights for Earthrealm. He fights for all peoples on Earth. He does not fight for, nor is he the champion of exclusively the Chinese or Shaolin monks. Now, he is Chinese and he is a Shaolin monk. No one's denying that. He's also the hero of the story. Remember that, Netherrealm, you've actually been more woke than you give yourselves credit for. Stop trying to be more woke. But anyway, now he is Chinese. Liu is Chinese and he is a Shaolin monk. But he does not necessarily fight to represent these groups of people per se. It just happens to be two identities he holds. But as Earthrealm's champion, he fights for and represents Earthrealm. All of Earth. Could you imagine giving Liu Kang an ending where Chinese Shaolin teachings and culture become the dominant Earth culture? That would be erasing every other culture on Earth. Why would you do such a thing with any character? But getting back to my point, no Earthrealm character fights for their people or their culture per se. Not even Nightwolf, who is a walking, talking Indian stereotype. He does not necessarily fight for the Apache, right? He fights for Earthrealm. Raiden does not fight for Japan. He does not protect Japan exclusively. He protects Earthrealm. He happens to be a Japanese thunder god, but he protects Earthrealm. Sub-Zero and Scorpion, they do not fight for China or Japan. Now, they are representatives of their ninja clans. Not going to deny that. But again, when in the context of Mortal Kombat, even their identities as ninjas pales in comparison to their identities as Earthrealm warriors. Because guess what? If an Earthrealm warrior doesn't win, if someone who represents Earth, not China, not Japan, not America, not blacks, not whites, not Asians, but as someone who does not represent Earth, does not win Mortal Kombat, then guess what happens? Earth is destroyed. Because Shao Kahn, who does not give a damn about these types of things, will take over and make everybody a slave if he hasn't killed half the population first. So Netherrealm, do me a favor. Stop trying to be woke. Stop rewriting. First you tone down the female design, which was bad enough, but now you're throwing a political message in with a character that it makes no sense for, where it doesn't need to be. Jax doesn't fight for black people. Jax doesn't fight for Africa. He fights for Earthrealm. He fights to protect his world, not his country, although he is an American soldier, but he doesn't fight for the U.S. He doesn't fight for Africa, or for the Hood, or for Harlem, or for any other place. He fights for Earthrealm, right? Now, all those places are included naturally, but he does not exclusively fight for that. He's an Earthrealm warrior. Please do not turn him into some sort of the best thing I can say is a race hero. Don't turn him into Mr. Africa, who must be African everything. We don't need that in a Mortal Kombat game. I want Jax to be Jax. I want Jax to be a soldier. I want Jax to be a man who fights for his world, who fights to see justice done, who fights to see Kano finally brought to justice and or killed by Sonya, one or the other. I don't think Jax cares. But please do not turn him into this sort of, racial stereotype. Jax is not African. Jax does not fight for Africa. He's a black man who happens to come from the US, who's fighting for all of Earthrealm. He should not be trying to literally rewrite history. Again, sci-fi teaches us that when you rewrite history, you make things worse. He should not be trying to rewrite history. He should not be trying to basically make the world bow down, or perhaps the term better is embrace. He should not be trying to make the entire world embrace African culture or any culture, quite frankly. Right? The beauty of Earthrealm, if you want to refer to it as that, is that we have a diversity of cultures, that no one culture is dominant, and that there are cultures within cultures within cultures within cultures. So please, Netherrealm, if you can fix this before the game is released, please fix it. Please, I beg of you, fix it. Because your woke agenda is just going to piss off older fans who are not with it. And I was really happy to see the storyline trailer that had the 95 film theme. I was feeling so good. And now you go and you do this. You try to take Jax, and instead of letting him be a character, you try to turn him into some sort of racial mouthpiece. Don't do that. Please, do not do that. Don't do it with Jax. Don't do it with Nightwolf. Don't do it with Lou. Don't do it with any character. Just let the characters be characters. Please. Please and thank you. Anyway, that's the video. Please kindly tell me what you think. Like it, hate it. Somewhere in the middle. Neither at all. You care, you don't care. Let me know. Anyway, I hope you have a nice night. Hope you have a nice week. And I will see you around with the next video. Bye-bye.